agrarian problem, top-down approach on planning, and lead to one another, including bad infrastructure and substandard buildings. So these challenges produce a slum-like condition, which has led to many forced eviction. One of the forced eviction happened in Kampung Aquarium in 11 April 2016 to make way for flood and adaptation infrastructure. So, and apparently this series of eviction also led the urban poor to organize themselves. And our network, together with Jakarta Urban Poor Network, Urban Poor Consortium, and with around 25 kampungs, including Kampung Aquarium, organized a political contract with one of the governor candidates back in 2017 election. And apparently he won the election. And after the new governorship, we also advocate through design and propose citywide community action planning program. And after the new governor took office in October 2017, some policies has already ready to roll, including we managed to rebuild the affected kampung with a new concept called Kampung Susun or vertical kampung. So, and from the affected kampung in 2016 and become vertical kampung in 2021, where the design and implementation were decided by residents, and we use co-design and bottom-up approach. And it funded not by the state budget, but it funded through housing provision program that coming from the infrastructure levy, and the land is still public land, but the building will be managed collectively by the housing cooperative. And because all of that, the unit is very affordable for the residents and they have the secure tenure. And a month ago, Kampung Susun Aquarium just won 2023 Asia Pacific Housing Innovation Award. Another challenges that facing by Jakarta is the urban heat. I think also the same like others, and which is make worsen and also make a living condition worsen in the informal settlement or in kampung. But we also take this case into an opportunity to appeal with kampung residents and government in order to improve their houses. So one example is in Kampung Marlina in North Jakarta, where they face continuous coastal flooding, land subsidence, of course, heat wave, and also with limited air circulation. And this is the before condition where before we doing the improvement there. So that's in prior 2020. So we received funding from Asian Coalition for Housing Right, and we used the grant to make a revolving fund to improve their houses in implementing passive design. It's a very simple one. And we start with 10 houses in 2020, and now is on the way to scale up and in negotiation to receive further support from the Ministry of Public Works and Housing. And this is the after picture where now the residents enjoy better lighting and air circulation. And you can see there's one houses at the back still hasn't improved their housing condition. And now in the new housing, they can have mini garden in front of their houses, and they admit that their houses become cooler than before. And another misfortune, which is air pollution, also become an opportunity for us as well. So that's when we use litigation to change the policy. So in 2018, we found that our air quality national standard is much lower than WHO standard. And in 2019, we sued the national government, including the president, the Ministry of Environment, and also Jakarta governor, through citizen lawsuit program, through citizen lawsuit mechanism. And one of the target is to change the standard. And in 2021, apparently we won. So we won. So the Ministry of Environment, they updated the national standard in 2021 through the new regulation. However, it still not comply to WHO standard, and the national government still keep appealing the decision. So now we just won the Supreme Court, and hopefully the government doesn't appeal again. So we just won, I think last month, in the Supreme Court. So, but after 2021, the Jakarta government, he accepted the court decision, and he speed up some of the projects, which is including creating lower emission zone in one area in North Jakarta, new cycle paths, I think around like 100 kilometers, and also better transportation integration. Like now, around 80% of Jakarta area is actually accessible with public transportation. And actually, at the end of the day, the climate crisis creates opportunity for us as a residents to form a collective action and to push change and just transformation. And from my experience in Jakarta, it could be through community organizing, political contract, and even litigation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elena. You know, that one fine day in Jakarta can be one fine day in Delhi, can be one fine day in Dhaka, can be one fine day everywhere. And it just segues straight into what Dr. Kumar has been campaigning on very, very vehemently in New Delhi for last so many years. We haven't yet gone the lawsuit way, but I'm sure, you know, if things came to that, we would possibly get the same, how do you say, result that you got from your courts. So I'm going to invite Dr. Kumar. I'm going to actually come back to all the speakers if we are within time with some more questions to go a little deeper. But for now, let me invite Dr. Kumar. He's going to speak about air pollution, health, cities, and the role of medical fraternity. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Kumar.
Thank you very much, and indeed my humble and sincere thanks to CANSA for organizing this event and for inviting me here. Thank you very much. I would pick up from what my dear friend Anumita said. If you heard her words carefully, she talked about the things happening here in Dubai at COP level, and then she finally said, irrespective of what decisions are taken here, ultimately, when it boils down to implementation, it comes to local level, and what matters most there is mindset. You may take massive decisions here which will make you feel that, oh, tomorrow the world is going to be a different place, but the same decision, when it's carried to local level, it may fail. And it has happened with numerous decisions taken across the globe. So ultimately, what matters is how these decisions get implemented on the ground, in the periphery, across the globe. And for any decision which will be little unpleasant, let's accept that air pollution has occurred and climate change concurrently has occurred because of our lifestyles. You know, moving on to bigger vehicles, cars, this unrestricted use of fossil fuels, which has made the life comfortable. And now if you were to make a change away from that, for some time it would definitely lead to some discomfort or some disability or some difficulty. And therefore, for anyone to accept this change, there has to be a compelling reason which he or she cannot deny. Then only this change will be acceptable. And I think that's where the doctors have a huge role to play. We've been hearing for last 3 days, health is at the center of air pollution, health is at the center of climate crisis. But mind you, all this discussion is here with the 60,000 people, informed people who are here. Go to the periphery. I will give you an example of a president of one association in India, whom I reached out to for taking part in a conference. And he asked me, oh, does this air pollution affect this organ? I cannot name his association because somebody will leak it to him. But there is the news from the ground, sir, is that despite all the talk about it being health issue, trust me, the depth of the issue, the enormity of the issue, and the need for urgent, immediate, major solutions is not there on the ground. And that I tell you after having traveled across India while campaigning for Doctors for Clean Air program. And therefore, I think yesterday, today, tomorrow, and for many more months to come, doctors will need to play a huge role in telling people, forcing people, scaring people that no matter how unpleasant the solution is, it's got to be accepted because it's a question of your future, your child's future. And if that doesn't happen, then people will not accept. You may take whatever decisions here, but people will not accept it. So therefore, let me very quickly take you through some of the slides, which I apologize. Many of you might have seen these images, but why I keep showing them again and again is that my dream is, and the need is, these pictures should reach all the millions and millions of people across the globe. This is the picture of a nice, pristine pink lung that you are born with, and this is the kind of pictures we see. I see. I'm a chest surgeon. I open 2 to 3 chests every day. And as a part of my operations, I see these lungs. And that's what brings me here to this space. This is the lung of a non-smoker from a city. And this is the kind of lung that ultimately it becomes. See the change. If this picture reaches every household, that this is what is happening inside you, you cannot peep inside. I'm sure people will be scared. And when they're scared, they will be willing to accept these solutions which come. I tell them, that in a city which is polluted, there is no true non-smoker. I'll show you this slide because a lot of people ask me. I made a statement that in polluted cities, the newborns become smokers. And I was challenged, how dare you make that statement? And I said, when a child comes out and he takes the first breath, if the PM 2.5 is 250, that's equivalent to about 15 cigarettes a day. So that child is exposed to the risks of 15 cigarettes. So what's wrong if I say that the child is a smoker? And then that correspondent had no answer. So this is the kind of pictures which need to go across the globe to every household. We all think that air pollution affects us once we are born, we are outside. No, it affects us before we are born. There is enough data that pregnant lady breathing in a polluted city inhales the toxins which gets absorbed to the lungs and goes to through the placenta, hurts the child. Congenital defects, deaths, everything is happening, and this goes on. So I think every doctor in the world should have a standee outside his clinic which says, in polluted cities, breathing kills. And this is my aim, that doctors, we'll keep talking about it, the doctors have a huge responsibility to play. A lot of people ask me which organ is affected. You see, head to toe, there is no organ which is not affected. Just a small presentation. A lot of people talk about smoking as a risk for lung cancer. 30 years back, 95% of my patients were smokers. Today, more than 50% of the patients are non-smokers. 40% of the patients are women. The peak age is now 40 as opposed to 60, and I'm seeing patients in 30s, and I've seen patients in 20s also. So there is a huge amount of damage which is occurring, and pregnant lady, children, elderly, they're the most vulnerable. We talk about death, but before death, there's a lot of disability, disease, and suffering which happens, and therefore it has a lot of cost. So people who talk about the cost, I have my last slide which will answer that question. So I would summarize that air pollution and climate crisis, they're playing havoc. They're not damaging. I object to the use of word damage. I say they're playing havoc with the health of the people. It's the biggest threat. If we don't do something today, we may not exist here. And of course, we all know what is the cause. And we all know that we have to move away from that. But for this slide content on slide number 3 to happen, every person has to be shown that lung slide, that this is what is happening. You have two choices. Either let your lung be damaged or change. I'm sure then only this change will come. And this is the last slide. People say that change will cost a lot. If you don't change, you will have disease, disability, millions of deaths, and of course, the planet will also die. We will die, the planet will die. Imagine the cost of that. But if we change, we'll have healthy people and healthy planet. And there is enough data to show that the cost of this change will be lower than the cost of no change. Thank you very much.
Dr. Kumar, for you. This must be like 8th or 9th time I've heard him making this appeal, and every time he gets to me. And really, who do we listen to finally at the end of the day? It's our doctors. And I totally support your campaign. I mean, it's when we talk about urbanization, we stop sometimes at just, oh, cities are very polluted. But without making those linkages to health, and today is World Health Day here, is the Health Day at COP. Let it not remain as simply one health day at COP with $1 billion raised. Anumita has said this, Eliza has said this, Sir is saying this. We need to make it an everyday campaign. We need to go back to our cities. And it's not only Delhi. In India we thought Delhi and, these landlocked cities are the ones that are the most polluted, and we are discovering, no, that's not true. every city, Bombay, Chennai, Bangalore,
Mumbai
Calcutta.
this year has been worse than Delhi.
Bombay
Mumbai
has been worse than Delhi, and that kind of indicates what a huge problem urban, and that actually segues straight into what Almut is going to speak about on, do we need to, Almut, start rethinking cities now? How do we, the need for an inclusive urbanization, whatever you want to call it, there's so many, COP is a place where we throw around a lot of jargon, but at the end of the day, what does rethinking cities mean, Almut?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really impressed, and I will never forget the lungs that you showed. And I think this is what it is all about when we talk about urban climate policies. We talk about ordinary people's lives, right? We talk about ordinary people's lives that are forced to breathe poisonous air. And we talk about people that are evicted from their communities and who take years to have the basic bag, that's a house, to sleep and to survive. So this is what it is all about when we talk about urban climate policies. It's about justice, it's about climate justice, and it's about equity. And this is what we want to realize at the local level. So I speak about urban climate policies, and this is just a jargon as well. It's a new jargon, I would say. But when I speak about urban climate policies, thank you. When I speak about urban climate policies, I speak about subnational actors, right? And I speak about a growing number of subnational actors as the urban population will double in Asia in the next 30 years, and globally as well. So urban climate policies refer to the improvement of living conditions of all urbanites today, and this is important, also of urbanites who are not yet around, of urbanites of the future. So we talk about justice, we talk about climate justice, and we talk about intergenerational justice. We talk about intergenerational justice for those who come after us, who are not yet there, for the baby. I can also put it differently. As much as the lungs of a child portray the current fossil fuel-based system, that's the example of the impact of current fossil fuel-based systems, as much the lungs of a child guide us and force us to localize climate action and not to hesitate to do it. There is a certain urgency to do it and to leave this fossil fuel-based system. And this is what it is all about when we are here at COP. We localize what we hear in the big negotiation streams, as you refer to, Anumita. It's about resources and processes that support loss and damage. It's about finance and how it can be localized for climate action, necessary climate action at the local level according to the needs. Resources and processes to support adaptation and prioritizing the poorest 2 quintiles of the population. That's important. And to phase out fossil fuels globally the earliest possible in every country. Why in every country? Because time is a strategic factor. We don't have time anymore. Yeah? The time window is closing. And to achieve all of this parallelly at the same time, it was mentioned already, and I like it was mentioned already, something fundamental is required. It's a change in mindset of all of us. It's needed really at all levels. First of all, to get the global policies right, yeah? To end fossil fuels, to accelerate climate finance, to support just transition processes. I could also call them just urban transition processes. And to prioritize the poorest 2 quintiles of the population, to mitigate and to eradicate poverty as one of the agendas of urban climate policies. At the same time, when I talk about urban climate policies and the change of mindset, I refer to non-state actors. I refer to you who are around. And why do I do so? I refer to cities, I refer to local politicians, I refer to civil societies and community-based organizations. In my opinion, there are important political spaces that have not been conquered yet by the mentioned groups. Thus, defining a margin of urban climate policies refers to us. We can define this margin ourselves, and we need to have capacities to define such margins and to support processes. When we are back home from Dubai, it's on us to create political processes that try to interpret what we have heard here, what was decided here, to our work. This is the job we can do, and we have to do, I think. What we also need is that we have politicians as enablers based on a mindset change, and I know this is a very hard task. I'm politically active myself on a private level. I know how hard this can be, but we have to do it. This is our choice. Scaling up climate action needs to happen urgently, there is no doubt about it, and it needs right laws, processes based on an understanding of present and future challenges and based on the understanding of intergenerational justice, as mentioned already. And I think it is a task to create the narrative, the right story, that we can achieve it, and that urban climate policies are not a need, but an investment. This is important. It's an investment to the future when we invest in a good mindset. And why do I think that? 60% of the infrastructure that we will have in the world in 2050 is not yet there. So this is a huge opportunity. It's an enormous potential for our work, for our mindset, to get the parameters right, to have good ideas, to foster the dialogue on how we want our cities that are not existing yet, how we want them to be in the future, how we want to live in the future, and how we define urban justice and urban transformation that we want and cities that we want to have. And I think we could have started yesterday already with all these processes, but no worry, we can really start today, all together, when we get home. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Almut, and it's so true. I mean, we can sit here and talk as much as we want, but unless we go back home and talk to our policymakers and involve ourselves. And I think that's what I'm hearing from all the speakers. The mindset change, it has to start with us and not with the others. Yeah, what Dr. Kumar is saying, what Eliza is saying. But, however, there is a role for administrators to play as well. And that's where I'm going to call Professor Vinod Kumar Sharma, old friend of CANSA, as I said. And like I said, he heads the, he's the vice chair of the Sikkim Disaster Management Authority. Sir, I want to hear from you, as an administrator, what would be your response strategy on how should cities, even if it's a small city like Gangtok in the Himalaya, how should they prepare for climate change, sir?
Thank you, Shailendra bhai. I think the session is already, set the tone, for discussion, and I am grateful to Anumita that she gave a broader, picture of urban risk, of urban heat, which is an important issue today. And she rightly said that when carbon emission is concerned, maximum is from these heat islands, and from urban areas. The building itself, about 38% carbon emission, and in case you include transportation and all, I think it is more than 72 now. And the issue is that more and more people are coming towards urban areas. And we are expecting that by 2050, I think 57% or maybe more, population will be in urban areas. It's already more than 50% in urban areas. I fully support her that, that there should be policies, there should be, public involvement, there should be local, solutions. And I'm going to discuss that only in this, and in a very small state. Because now we should talk about solution. And what we are trying, how we are trying, discussing that part. So I am in very small state of Himalaya. And this time, I think this year, most of you might have heard that I think each and every state of Himalaya in India, you may take Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, you may take, Sikkim. 2 months back, there was a glacier lake outburst. And the entire Himalaya has become so vulnerable because we are having more than 9,000 glaciers. We are having glacial lakes. Each and every glacial lake is increasing in size. In my state, there are 16 lakes which are growing out of proportion. One lake outburst, CANSA was associated, with the solutions. We are working for this lake since last 7 years. And from Ladakh, Mr. Sonam Wangchu and all these people, they were helping us. So it's not that we don't know the issues. And urban issues, and particularly of Himalayan states, they are unique. And ma'am, I fully agree with you that local solutions. Earlier, you take example of Uttarakhand. The houses, we have house which is 280 years old. We have houses, in Sikkim, which are made up of Accra, and there any earthquake or anything, monasteries. Some of the monasteries, which were made by traditional wisdom, nothing happened to them. But we are going for modern technology. We are talking about Pakka house, we are talking about cement and concrete buildings, and that is not really required in Himalaya. So I think, and we tried. In 2011, there was an earthquake when I became Vice Chair of Sikkim State Disaster Management Authority. I requested my CM that all the buildings, they should be earthquake resistant. Because it is public money, it is taxpayers' money which we are using for. You come to Gangtok, you will see that our state secretariat, if there is an earthquake 8 on Richter scale, nothing will happen to it. So we are working on rural houses, urban houses, and they become disaster resilient. Ma'am, I fully agree with you that health is a major issue. Dr. Arun, he is talking about one issue, lungs, and he rightly said that not only lungs but the entire health. In Sikkim, now we are going for health coalition of disaster resilient infrastructure, and we are working with WHO. We have, mapped all the hospitals of the state, all the PHCs, because in case there is flooding, in case anything happen, we need hospitals. So what is the state of these hospitals, And I think India, this lead which is taken by our country and joined by 33 countries, Coalition of Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, I think it's a unique opportunity. And when we are talking about the health resilience, I think it can play a very important role. And in policy making, because it is transferring technology. We are not giving funds, to any state or any country, but we are giving technology which is there already with the 33 countries and with the institutions, and we are working on that. I'm very happy to tell you that this state, which is organic, which is environment friendly, which is unique state in the country, I think we want this kind of model. This may be a pilot, but I did a program with Department of Science and Technology, and that was on governance, on climate governance. And the issue everywhere, it's not in my country. I go to Bangladesh, I go to other countries, the same issue, that we are working, but in silos. One department is working on climate change, one is working on disaster risk, one is working on health issue of risk, one is working, we are not working together. And in this program, we brought all the departments together and we are working because every state is having a state action plan for climate change. Every district is having a district plan for climate change. Every district is having a plan for disaster risk. The only thing is that how we do marriage of this, all these things. This is required. And I invite you, you come to Sikkim, and thanks to CANSA that whenever I say that they come to my state and they organize, this kind of discussion with my friend, Vinod Menon, who is a founder, member of NDMA. They have seen that there is a potential for these small experiments. In case we, work like this, the solutions are there. Because climate change, you can't reverse in one day. All these negotiations we are working. And I think all the, big people are on the job. But I think here we are discussing that urban risk is a very important issue. It is not only climate change, unless and until you include disaster risk, unless and until you include different type of urban risk. Because in Himalaya there is different risk. In coastal area there is a different risk. In central India there is a different risk. So I think these risks should be identified and then policy should be made accordingly. I think I fully agree with you and support that local wisdom, local material, local knowledge, this is a very, very important area and we can work on it because we are thinking that only the modern technology and big technology are the solution. In my opinion, in these type of places where people are very poor, they are not very rich, they cannot afford this big technology and all that, but they know that Accra type of house is the safest house. So I think the only thing is you will have to convince, you will have to show. And I am grateful to one of the NGO that one school, they made of Accra technology, in fact a mixed technology, pillars modern and then Accra type of house. It's working so well. It's a model for the state. We are showing to others it's much cheaper, it is much stronger, it is climate resilience. And I think this kind of thing should be disseminated and should be given, to other states. And we are working, it's just one example of urban risk, but there are many things which we are doing in different verticals, including health, including sanitation, including water, and so on and so forth. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. What you say about interdepartmental cooperation, the climate crisis is not a crisis of environment department or a climate department, but all departments working together and respecting local knowledge, I think is critical. Local solutions, local knowledge, as you say. And that's where I'm going to move to our friend, Mr. Mohammad Shahjahan. He's from YPSA. Just to share very quickly, they've done this great study on, from policy to practice transformation, a case study from Chattogram in Bangladesh. And I invite him to present the short version of his study. He's smiling because he has a longer version and I'm forcing him to present the short version. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, moderator, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to give you some facts about the urban, though already My other colleagues already discussed about this issue. But we know all that the only cities are 2% in the world, and urban population generate 80% of the global GDP. At the same time, 2/3 emission are generated by the urban. And as per the latest World Bank report, we see that by 2050, there will be the 216 million people in 6 world regions to move in the urban city. So in Bangladesh, if you see that presently in Bangladesh, there is a 38 to 40% Bangladesh population lives in the urban area, and which will be 50% by 2041. So we know that the urban city is very important to deal with the mass displaced people. And for the region, actually, we have already conducted one study. And I will here to present some important and some major findings to give you an idea how migrated people, after being displaced, they are living in the urban city. And what to do, what is the responsibility of urban city authority to deal with this mass displacement and migration. In our study, we have seen that the 20 to 30% migrated people in the Chittagong city, they are due to the displaced of the climate-induced disaster. And among them, 74% have experienced 1 to 2 times displacement before coming to the city area. And when we see that among them 89% lost their home state and 76% lost their home in the point of origin. And this is the actually economic loss and damage. If you see the non-economic loss and damage, we can see that among these migrated people, we have seen that 63% lost bonding with relatives, 68% said they have lost their entire society, and 53% lost their social harmony, 70% lost praying place, and 74% lost graveyard, and 50% lost social dignity. So this is the actually summary of the findings, and among them, 71% stated that they don't have any ancestral home to go back to the village area, and 61% claim that no government and private and community-based organization working to adaptation in the urban area. And when we ask them what is your expectation in the urban area, and among them 59% they want to rehabilitate in the urban area, and 40% they need financial assistance, even it can be the loan, and 42% it can be said that they want to resettle in their ancestral areas, that means in the point of origin, and they need the healthcare and medicine facilities in the urban area, which is said by the 18%, and they want to confirm that they claim to confirm their rights, which is the 16%, because they are facing some sorts of discrimination in the urban area with the local people. And during our consultation, we have also seen that they are feeling the less safety and security in the urban area, and some sorts of, because we know that most of the displaced people, they live in the slum area, and there is a drug addiction and drug trading is over there, and also in recent time, there is a youth gang activities also active in the slum area, who are the victim of this youth gang also. And most of the participants of the study finding, they don't want to go back to their village soon, because they don't have any asset and any land or any homestay in their ancestral place. And when we talk to the city authority people, and they told us that they have the city master plan, though it is still in draft stage. They are improving the drainage plan for reducing the water logging, because you know that the Chattogram city is located in the bank of the Bay of Bengal. So most of the time it becomes waterlogged. And already the city authority already constructed road across the sea and rivers, which is around the 40 kilometers to protect the city from the storm surge, cyclone and coastal flooding. And they also built the 18 sluice gate, yet to be operationalized, but for protect the city area. And already city authority already announced that if for having the new electric connection, building should have some solar plant, otherwise they will not get the electric connection. And also Chittagong City Corporation already started the single-use plastic. You know that the plastic is the main problem in the city area, which is cause of the waterlogging, and they are doing it with the partnership with NGO, and it's one of the partner of this initiative and private sector. And just I want to do my previous panelists already discussed about the report, what IPCC report and global take a stand about the urban situation, and they focus on the actually IPCC report, reduce urban energy consumption, switch to net zero emission sources, enhance carbon stocks, and global stock take also the same tone they talk about the smart urban planning, low carbon construction material, and transition to the low carbon energy sources, and also phasing out internal combustion engines to the using electric vehicle. You are now seeing the different plans, policy and plans and act of the Bangladesh government, and two important plans and policies plan is the Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan 2022 to 2041 and National Adaptation Plan. This is the recent plan, and this plan is very much comprehensive, and there is some important aspect for the urban issue also. So I can just give you some hints from these two plans. In the Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan, we have seen that the government have planned to reach 30% renewable energy by 2030 and 40% by the 2041. Though at present the status is very poor, but we are hopeful that with combined initiative this will make possible. And another initiative is the establishment of the green infrastructure, blue and green infrastructure in the urban area, which including the footpath, bike lanes, street trees, and urban parks, etc. And also the national, if you see the National Adaptation Plan, this is also the long-term plan of Bangladesh. There is also some importance given to the urban area. Suppose the innovation of eco-friendly and climate-resistant construction material, and also the expanding the green and blue infrastructure such as green building and the conservation of the urban wetlands and biodiversity. So these two plans has some estimation of the cost. So first one is the 145 billion, and the Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan need 19 billion. And most of the costs they are estimated will be the public-private partnership and the climate finance from the international sources, which include adaptation plan, loss and damage fund, green climate fund, etc. So here is the some gap we can identify, though already been discussed, how actually we can reach to this goal, particularly to reach to this climate finance. If you see the UNEP Adaptation Gap Report 2023, there is the estimation of the annual need of the 215 to 387 billion yearly money from for the developing countries to reach to their adaptation target. And also in recently in the first day we have seen that there is agreement on the loss and damage fund, but we have seen that there is no responsibility from the developed countries, because we have seen that this fund is almost like as the pool fund. Everybody can put the fund to this basket, but no one taking the responsibility, particularly the developed fund. So this is the one of the major gap. And if we see the IPCC 60-foot mitigation investment, also they have forecasted that the mitigation investment for this decade need to be increased at least the 6-fold. and the loss and damage fund could be a critical role to recovery and rehabilitation for loss and damage fund in the developing country. So we cannot be actually hopeful that this loss and fund can contribute to this rehabilitation and the recovery of the people. And finally, my final slide is, there is some recommendation. First recommendation is, we have some overdue fund from the developed countries, but we want to emphasize on this issue to fulfill the overdue fund. Each year, 100 billion from 2022. So already there is a 403 to 400 million overdue. So we ask developed countries to fulfill their commitment. And also, if we see the NDCs, and these NDCs particularly from the developing countries, most of the NDCs is the conditional. So to fulfill their commitment, there is a need for the funding as well to reach to the net zero goal by 2050. And finally, to operationalize the loss and damage funding, there should be a specific annual funding target. And developed countries should commit to fulfill this. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Shahjahan. That's, this is what a case study should look like. What are the gaps? And the biggest gap, as we can clearly see, is finance. Yeah? And that's what we've been hearing about. I'm very pleased to see our Mr. Vashist is here. Sorry, the lights were in my face. Sir, can I quickly invite you? I know we are short on time to come here and share with us the Kolkata Climate Protection Plan. Sri Devashish Kumar is the Honorable Mayor in Council of Kolkata City. He's also, sir, here, working with CANSA on Kolkata Climate Action Plan. But today I think he's going to share with us what the Kolkata Climate Resilience is going to do. Sir.
Thank you, moderator. I'm representing the Kolkata city. You know, this is the most vulnerable city. On the outset, I would like to thank CANSA, Sanjay ji in particular, for inviting me at COP28 here at Dubai and giving the opportunity to talk from this very important platform in front of you. On behalf of the Kolkata city, I am here to advise you the climate-linked situation in our city, that the resilience program that we are pursuing, and also that our expectation, I was in COP27 as well, and said that we are planning to become more climate resilient. And we will be very happy to share what we have done since then. I do not need to relate here that Kolkata is one of the most vulnerable global cities, as Year 6 report of IPCC has clearly demonstrated that. May I remind few of the keys ones for Kolkata. Beyond 2040, climate change would lead to numerous risks and occurrence and multiple climate hazards, often together in city. Substantial green cover was lost in cyclone because of cyclone Amphan. Kolkata is the most vulnerable to disaster-related mortality among 8 mega cities globally. Only from India, it is third among the 20 largest coastal flood-prone global cities. With maximum estimated flooded losses by 2050, the city also had the risks of substances because of the sea level rise or flooding in future. Rainfall may increase by 55%. Category 3 to 5 cyclones, that is extremely severe or a super cyclone, likely to increase in Sundarban, also affecting Kolkata. Bay of Bengal water expected to rise 0.6 meter by century end, impacting Kolkata, which is hardly 100 kilometers away. It is old and stressed drainage system. Warming in the city increased by 2.6 in the last 6 decades. highest in the world, followed by the Tehran and Moscow. Average temperature may rise about 4.5 degrees by century end. If emission rise cannot be globally controlled, while maximum temperature may touch above 50 degrees Celsius. If present trend of global emission countries, these are not mere reports and hard realities that we have all been witness it since last many years from Ayla to Amphan. A series of cyclones have demonstrated our vulnerability with topping of thousands of trees, acute water logging, among other impacts. About 15,000 trees were only dropped in the city during the cyclone Amphan in 2020. Now the question of what we are doing to counter it and building of our resilience. We already started the work providing solar connectivity. In 8 major cities, major city parks are turning them carbon neutral. Kolkata is one of the front runners in introducing the electrical vehicles, and we have been undertaken large-scale plantation of trees around 1 lakh per year, and so far 50-kilometer median street plantation, both to the counter air pollution and climate change. But since Salman Sheikh, the most important step that we have taken is it to start the preparation of Kolkata Climate Action Plan. Jayanti is here and Sanjay is also here, and they are very much playing a vital role to plan in a pan-India expert committee that we have set up in KMC to prepare the plan. We expect the plan to be finalized by another 6 months. In this plan, we have considered all the key sectors from energy use and fossil fuel cut to drainage, biodiversity, conservation to air pollution to disaster reduction, all the key sectors, and various sector report is being prepared by a set of foremost experts. We will be also having several stakeholders meetings and also working on a separate physical plan to implement the recommendation. Those will come up. We expect to prepare the final report by another 6 months. We need all your help in finalizing and talking forward the plan to organize a huge consultation when it will be ready. Today is the health day in the COP28, and clearly disaster and health problems go hand in hand. In our case, the rise of vector-borne disease like malaria and dengue, we believe it is partially due to the climate change, must find ways to minimize the impact on our city. On our city population, particularly the urban poor, who have less resilience and hence suffer more. We acknowledge the climate change impact is not only a physical threat or a major disaster issue, but also development determined. Already our people are suffering. I am happy that the loss and damage fund has been operationalized in this COP and request you to see how the same can be factualized for the cause of climate impacted urban poor and other population in Kolkata. More than years ago, Kolkata had officially taken a pledge to minimize fossil fuel, only major city in India. I understand we stand by our commitment. We need continuing support from your I need your support from your realize and dream of more climate resilient Kolkata. Just I heard about the air pollution in different countries, and Dr. Arvind Kumar, if I am not wrong, he says about the disease of regarding the climate issues. Definitely air pollution is a big issue for our city also. But last 1 year, we try to plantation more and more. That's the result. Today, if you see, in compare with the other major city, metro city like Delhi or Bombay, their air quality is more than 350, 320, but we are now 160. So it is only because of our plantation and we regular try to impose a carbon emission effort. We try to introduce battery operated car, electrical vehicles, and everything which can reduce the carbon. So I thanks to the organizer to give me this opportunity to speak in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much. And I really want to bring Dr. Kumar to Calcutta before things get really bad. I think you need to speak to all of them. You've heard from all of them. I'm going to open the floor for 5 minutes because we also have some report releases. Any questions anyone would like to ask of any of the panelists? Barsha, please. Do we have a mic? Ruchi, can you just grab a mic? Please introduce yourself, your organization.
Hello.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, I'm Borsa Parazuli and I'm working with Clean Energy Nepal, where we work with different issues including air pollution. So I really like to appreciate that I could see Dr. Arvind Kumar here along as a panelist, because we have been using the picture that you were sharing, the pictures of the lung, as an advocacy tool and also to raise awareness among youths and policymakers. And yes, with this note, I would also like to ask a few of my queries, like, because air pollution, when we talk about air pollution, it's not just the local issue. We have to deal with regional issues as well. So because when the IPCC report has also clearly noted that the South Asian region pollution level is growing, emissions are growing, while at the Southeast region the emission rates are decreasing. So with this pollution dipoles, it is expected that we are going to see more of the issues in terms of climate, in terms of health. So how can we build on the regional cooperations that could help address this issue? Thank you.
Can I ask Anumita before Dr. Kumar to... Yeah. I want Dr. Kumar also come in, but I think Anumita, you can give a little more regional picture sitting in Delhi.
The basis for me.
Dr. Kumar would have been best, but just to create a link, you're absolutely right that today now the science is very clear that air pollution doesn't follow political boundary. It blows between boundary. And today, therefore, what we see in Delhi or in Kathmandu, I mean, a lot of it is coming from far, far places. So that means we have to strengthen local action, but across the landscape. So it is just not in one. So when during winter, entire Indo-Gangetic plain, in fact going up to Kathmandu, I would say, that entire region is landlocked and pollution locked. I mean, no one city can become a green island or a green bubble there, because you really have to take that action aggressively. But what is more important for us to understand from the regional perspective, the regional cooperation and the framing that is needed, that while it harms health, but now, in fact, in this COP, there are several discussions happening now, the black carbon fraction of that pollution and how that is also trapping heat. And when it is settling on snow that you talked about, or in Kathmandu, that's melting snow, it's interfering with the cloud and disturbing the rain pattern. So it's such a wide spectrum impact. So that means we now need a regional framing of cooperation. Now we do have SARC, but SARC has never really worked for this, or a Mali declaration. Now, even though those framework exist, but we have not, but countries of the region have not been able to create the right operational framework that, without being intrusive, how you still harmonize upscaled action and accelerated action and multi-sector action across all regions. I think time has now come that the science and the picture of lung that Dr. Kumar is showing us, it has to compel that action. And we have to keep in mind that when we talk about climate and air pollution, the pollutant is actually coming from same sources. So if you do co-control, so we don't have to say CO2 versus PM, but just do co-control at the source, and we will see the big co-benefit across the region.
Thank you so much, Anika. Climate change, like air pollution, also knows no borders. That's something that we've been saying. Dr. Kumar, you want to react to that?
Yeah, again, I would continue beyond what Anumita very nicely stated. So, madam, whether it's India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, or for that matter even Sri Lanka, this whole area is actually part of one process. The socio-economic conditions are same. Most of the living lifestyles are same. Cooking patterns are same. Transport mechanisms and the problems emanating from them are same. The building patterns are same. So a building built in Bangladesh, building built in Pakistan, building built in Delhi and Nepal and Sri Lanka, they add to the same amount of dust pollution, which is different from a building built in Dubai or a building built in Europe or USA. So this region has a special problem set of its own, and I think CANSA has a huge role to play. And I'm happy to inform that a couple of months back, we had a South Asian meeting
Yes.
organized, CANSA and Lung Care Foundation, where we had tried to reach out to two groups, the doctors and the politicians. So we had members of parliament from these places, and we had doctors also from each of these places, and we had tried to connect them, and we had tried to show this. So some data which could be shared between, so maybe I have a picture of lung, but someone in Bangladesh maybe could having a better case study of the health effects, somebody from Sri Lanka. All this data, health data, could be shared, and then a common plan to reach out to people, but with the health angle at the center. That plan should be made, and I think it should be, CANSA should probably
Thank you
take
so
the
much,
lead.
Kumar, for reminding us and referring to that event. It was a very important event.
Yes.
Number of parliamentarians have come back to us that we need to take this momentum forward, and they want to work only with doctors. And that, I think, is the impact of that event, and we will surely take that forward. Since we are talking about regional cooperation and collaboration, Ananta, I do want to say SARC might be not dead, but whatever, it's in a freezer. But there are so many other, Ichimod, yeah, there are so many other instances of regional cooperation when it comes to crisis, which we can actually, look to, and not just depend on that SARC as an entity, but look at other ways of, engaging. I think on disaster resilience, correct me, Dr. Mayan, there have been so many times that these countries, and now we are in face of the biggest disaster. And since we are talking about cooperation and collaboration, I think unless there are more pressing questions, there are a series of reports that CANSA and its partners from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Barsha, in fact, I'll invite you, and we just want to use this opportunity and presence of this esteemed panel to launch this report today. So, Nakul, can I invite Doha Bhai also, if he's in the room? Who? Doha Bhai, and who else? Of course, Devashish sir, please, if you can take a picture for this, and can you just distribute the reports? Doha Bhai, please. These are all reports that we've, this event, as you know, is being in partnership with Misereor, YPSA, and others. So, I also want to, earlier this year, we commissioned journalists across 5 countries to prepare, there's a portal called Question of Cities, and they have done excellent stories. Journalists have done deep dive stories on urban climate change issues. So, Sanjay, where is Sanjay? If for soft copies, please scan the QR code up there. And that's it. Yes, Sanjay. Sanjay. Yeah. Thank you. Please, these reports on urban climate resilience and development from Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, produced by our partners STPI in Pakistan, CPRD in Bangladesh, and Clean Energy in Nepal, and also media stories that Question of Cities put forward have been all compiled together in this report. Unless there are any pressing questions, I'm going to do some. Oh, Jayantada, very quickly. Mike.
Two very quick points I would like to make. One, taking off from what Vashist has just said, that when we talk about the loss and damage fund, first, before this COP28 operationalization, we used to think that the countries like India and developing countries are not going to get the fund. They may get other kind of support, but now it's very clear that all countries can demand for that fund. Second point, when we are talking about the fund, we presume that it's meant for the rural or that kind of area, which is right, they deserve it. But in urban areas in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, lot of communities are being extremely impacted by climate change already. So because communities can now demand or can actually set up for this fund, is there any option or is there any way forward, any discussion, anything that how the urban poor can claim this fund? That's number one. And very quickly, the second question is that India, Bangladesh, Pakistan are the three countries which are at the top of the list of climate impact, which are at the top of the list of air pollution. Can we think about a combined climate and air pollution policy for this region? That's the question.
Anyone? Very quickly. Very quickly, sir. 1 minute only.
1 minute. Just wanted to ask one question about the interrelationships between global warming, sea level rise, air pollution, heat waves, and extreme events. You know, these are all related. We cannot isolate these from each other. And when we are actually trying to address climate change, we need to have some kind of a big picture view which actually brings together that. And what are the reactions of the people like to know? Thank you.
I don't think these questions can be answered in a minute that I see.
Just loss and damage fund, I want to just contribute to this because if we see the narratives of the loss and damage fund, and it can be possible because in my presentation you have seen that people migrated from the rural to urban, they are the displaced people who are the victim of the disaster. So they are under the loss and damage. So I think it is possible for the claiming the fund from the urban poor. This is my point.
Yeah. I'm going to take the second question out because I really want to thank the UNFCCC technical team. This is my third
I think we can address
session.
both.
I wanted to finish it in time. Yeah?
Yeah, very quickly, I think we can very
You have
quickly.
1 minute
So
only.
actually, so yes, first Jointo, you're absolutely right. And that's a new conversation that is emerging now because initially loss and damage was linked only to the agricultural crop loss. And we have also seen that India has also changed its crop insurance policy to include some of these disaster-related risks, and that is get accounted for in that. But at the global level, how the loss and damage framing can be done to address much wider range of risk is where enough thought has not yet gone, because that's where I think it's more important that while this global conversation is happening, we also need to strengthen the local conversation to first design our strategy for it. That money should not flow in a vacuum. You know, we need to know, we have to set the terms of that. So therefore, the urban infrastructure risk that we're talking about, that's enormous. Right. So
Thank you so much, people. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.